my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to be doing another reading vlog. At the beginning of July, I read A Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayburn, and I read it actually as an audiobook without having the physical. And I just absolutely fell in love with the writing, with the story, with the characters, with the vibe. It was so amazing. Such a sweet little cozy mystery, historical fiction, historical set in, I want to say 1887 in London. So it's a historical setting that I am used to, but we have characters who are pushing back of the fold of what society expects of them. Veronica is an absolute treat. She makes me laugh. She's a lepidopterist. She's a butterfly expert, a scientist. And we follow her adventure with Stoker, who is a taxidermist, a surgeon, and served in the Royal Navy. And this book is really just about how their lives intertwine, and how at the beginning of the book, her aunt dies, who is her last living relative that she knows of. And so she is about to set off on another expedition to go and find more butterflies. However, a man comes up to her, not Stoker, but a different gentleman, and says she is in danger. He goes to take her to London, leaves her in the care of Stoker while he tries to gather all of his things together so that way they can leave. And before the gentleman can come back, he is murdered. And so sets forward the whole plot of this book and the overall kind of, I guess, plot and themes that are going to be followed in the continuing book. Now, from this point forward, I will flash a huge spoiler warning for you guys, because we are going to be talking about spoilers, because not only did I end up purchasing this book and rereading it in the same month of July, I also have the second book now, and I just want to gush. I just want to talk about how amazing it is, okay? So obviously, I've already reread this book. I've also already annotated the bejesus out of it. I have 3 different colored tabs here. The blue is for mentions of Stoker, either his description or things about his life, because he is still pretty mysterious at the end of this book. Veronica does a nice little breakdown of the things we still don't know about Stoker towards the end of the book. We don't really know the cause of his friendship with Lady Cordelia, his antipathy. He has no care for his family. We also don't know what happened to his wife in the past. He's not married right now, but he absolutely was married at some point. And then we don't know he did murder somebody and can't go back to his home country because of it. So we don't know all of those things about Stoker still at the end of this book. But at the end of this book, we do realize that they both kind of know that there's a connection between the two of them, and they want to explore it. It's such a slow burn romance. There's no kissing or anything in this book, which is kind of intense, but it's really cute, and it's really sweet to kind of see their relationship develop. Even though this does take place in 1887, Veronica herself doesn't really care for what is proper for young ladies. They're in their 30s, and she has had dalliances, is what she calls them, on all of her expeditions. She sets rules for herself. She doesn't have any dalliances in England, nor does she have them with Englishmen, regardless of where she is. So Stoker breaks all of those rules for her, but it's really sweet to see them both recognize that they have like a connection, and they both want to explore it. At the end of this book, they end up deciding to stay on the land of a lord. They'll both have their own house, but at least they can stay together, work in his house. They're going to turn it into a museum, and he will fund their expeditions for new exhibits to the museum. So it's really set up to kind of have them go forward and just have more adventures together, which is really exciting. 7 books are out right now, and the 8th one is going to be coming out in March of 2023. So it's very, very exciting. A Curious Beginning, I have given a 4.5 stars. I'd love to give it a 5-star, but you know, it's the beginning of the series, and I think that with series that are very long like this, all of them are really going to get like a 4.5, and then the overall story will give you a 5-star reading experience. I've already read this one. Like I said, we are left off with finding out who murdered the Baron, which is the gentleman who was murdered at the beginning of the story, who put Veronica in Stoker's care. We also realize that Veronica is really the only legitimate claim to the throne. She is Prince Albert's child, and Prince Albert was married to her mother, and he also got married to his queen now while her mother was still alive. So his current brood of children are illegitimate. She did pretend, well, she didn't pretend. She thought she was burning the paperwork, but Stoker had actually given her a fake one and said that you should have the truth and decide what to do with it without the pressures of anybody else, which is absolutely beautiful. So she has that power. She doesn't want the throne, obviously. She really just wants to live her life and not have to be controlled by anyone else and just kind of have adventures, which is so great, and I love her. So now we have the second book, and I'm very, very excited about it. This is A Perilous Undertaking, and if the first book took place in June of 1887, we are now in September of 1887. So just a couple months later, it was summer, and now it's fall. And that's very exciting for me. So I'm really excited for this. I'll probably check in with you pretty frequently, but also probably not as formal, mainly because this is a gush. So I can't wait to see how their relationship moves forward. All right, I'll check in with you later. This is only like a 350-page book. I probably will be checking in with you rather soon. It really just depends on when I need to tell you something. Okay? Okay. Bye. Me and my shower hair are here to discuss with you what this book is actually about. 27 pages. I officially have a plot to discuss with you. Not much else aside from I'm still very much enjoying it. And want to say this picks up, I love that they date it. So we're still in 1887, but it's September now, whereas in the first book we were in June. So it's been a couple of months since the end of the last book's adventure. We open with Veronica and Stoker, and they are at their patron Lord Rosmarin, and they are about to take an expedition out to Fiji to collect more specimens. And I think it's so sweet and cute that she prompts us by saying, we had a lot to do, so naturally we planned an expedition. Like, it's so cute. It's so quirky. I love them. They're so cute. So then in the middle of them about to take off, Lord Rosmarin, falls over a tortoise and their departure is delayed. So they're just trying to pass some time, and then Rosmarin's sister, Lady C, is like, hey, Veronica, let's go to Curiosity Club. And Veronica's like, hell yeah, I'm in. And so she goes and realizes that the head of the Curiosity Club is Her Royal Highness Princess Louise. I don't have nothing. Hamburg? Daughter of Queen Victoria. You know what? They are English, and they assume that I remembered the kings and queens of Europe. I just don't. I do not. I love that when I take a shower, my hair looks like now a lion's mane. I was gonna wear a hat, but it looked even more odd. I don't think I've ever worn a hat on camera, so it was strange. Let's talk about the book. But the Royal Highness is like, hey, this person is about to be hanged for a murder that they did not commit. I need you to prove it. At first, Veronica's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then the princess is like, well, I can get you in a room alone with your father, and you can actually meet him if you would like. So now that we actually have a plot for the book, I am going to continue on, and I will probably check in with you, I don't know, like halfway through? What's halfway through? At chapter 16 to talk about how much I'm loving it. Oh, and real quick before I go, I've pretty much done the same tabbing system as I did in book 1, where one color is for Stoker, one is for Great Lines, and one is for the overall plot. And I just changed the colors so that way it would fit the color of this book. I don't have tabs that are this exact color, so I thought using a variety of reds and pinks would help kind of give it the overall illusion that it matches. Hey, hiya, how's it going? Hey, microphone's in the frame. I'm lazy. This was very easy, and I might even bring it more in frame. We're loving this, and I bet I sound like an angel. So let's talk, because here I am. I'm loving this so much. This is amazing. Okay. So I guess we can be very frank in this, because I'm going to be gushing and loving this regardless of what's happening. So let me just be clear and let me be a little critical. There are some things that are repeated in book 1 and in book 2, and what I will assume are going to be repeated throughout the series. If you're distracted by my hair, that's what's happening. But it looks like this because I'm training this top portion to curl the right way. So I have that like this. It's all twirled up, and then the clip. So there are a lot of things that are repeated, like descriptors about Stoker, about his family, things that she says about him that were in book 1 and book 2, and I believe will be continuing on to be repeated in the following books. Now, is it so much repetition that it's like there's no new story? Not at all. In this story, we are trying to solve the case of a murder of an artist, a muse. Princess Louise has come to Veronica and asked her to solve it. And the more that I get into this book, I don't know. I think I honestly don't care what happens in the story, in the world. I want to see Veronica and Stoker go on adventures and solve mysteries and bicker and banter and be put in situations where he's nervous for her safety, so they stay in the same house. And like, I don't care what they're doing. I just want to follow them. Like, that's how I know there are very distinct types of readers. You're either a character-driven reader or a world-building reader. And your book can be either or a mix of both, but I really feel like anyone who needs like more plot or more world building as opposed to just characters, this is probably not the series for them. And I don't think that any cozy mystery series is really for them anyway, mainly because like it's easy. It's like eating chips, you know? It's great, it's fun, it's lovely, and then like, you know, then you're done. So I'm yammering, but I'm really enjoying this, and we just ended on Stoker posing nude for a marble statue of himself. And I think that I would really love if Veronica bought that statue. And I feel like there's no mention of it, like he just posed for it and the artist sketched him, and like now she has to go make it. But I would love, if not at the end of this book, maybe the beginning of the next book or the fourth book, for Veronica to have the statue of Stoker. So love that to bits. I am going to, oh, I thought she was holding a puppy. That is a giant flower, not a puppy, but you could see where I thought maybe it was, maybe. I have some bookkeeping kind of things that I need to do. I need to update my Copile journal. I need to update my Goodreads. I think that is highly out of date. And then I have some stretching to do because I need it. I was going to say because I'm old, but it doesn't matter what my age is or how I perceive my age. What matters is I have a human body, and that body needs to be stretched because stagnation is not good for predators. It's just not, and that's what we are. So I will be stretching. I'm going to have you guys join me through my little adventures tonight because I don't think I've done any B-roll for this video. So we will be doing that to make sure it's a reading vlog. All right? All right. loved this book. You saw me just die over this book. This was so good. I love Veronica and Stoker. I love that in this book, I feel like I got to know Veronica so much more, and I realized something about the writing, which is great. The writing, because it's all told from Veronica's perspective, there is a distinct barrier between Veronica and us and the reader. She creates a barrier. And I believe even at the beginning, she kind of talks about how she's like writing a memoir, really. And so she's writing this, she's deciding what goes into it and what doesn't. But what she doesn't get to decide, I guess, is the way that people react to her. People like Stoker, who will mention her emotions to her. And as the reader, it is the first mention of Veronica having this emotion at all. Half the time I'm thinking that Veronica has no emotions except for like sass. And other times I'm like, holy shit, she's crying over this man. She's sad, you know? And I'm like, I feel so much more connected to her here in this book. I feel like her and Stoker's relationship is growing and developing. They are really, truly right person, wrong time. But that wrong time is the first couple of books, and eventually I can only assume that they will end up together. And so they know that they're the right person and they're not letting go of each other. So that way eventually they'll find the right time to be together. And until then, they're friends. And like it's a perfect description. Veronica says that she has a claim on Stoker all her own. And hers is the strongest because she demands nothing of him save friendship. And his soul is his own. And I think that it's so beautiful. It's so good because Stoker is consistently like, Veronica, I don't want you to have to go through and do awful things because I have had to go through and do awful things, and I want better for you than what I have in my life. And I don't want you to struggle or to hurt or any of that. And Veronica wants so badly to help Stoker out of his grief and his pain and anguish from his jaguar attack, the loss of his last wife, his family, everything. She wants to find the person underneath the trauma, and Stoker is trying to make sure that she stays the person she is without incurring more trauma. And they just want each other to be alive and happy, and they want their friend to be happy. It was great and I loved it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to you that I knew, who did it. But I'm also not trying to figure out the mysteries. I'm just really not. I'm here for the ride. I like to see what they're gonna get up to. I like to see how the story ends up unfolding because I feel like I'm never at a place where I'm like, okay, yeah, so this is what they're gonna do next, and then this, and then this, and then this. Like with a fantasy. These stories keep me on the edge of my seat every single time. I have no idea where they're going, what the next step is, what they're gonna do next, and it's great. It's really great. It's really wonderful. And I really enjoy that the characters of Veronica and Stoker, they're like the adventurous sort. So even after they get done with like one life-threatening altercation for that day, they both look at each other and they're like, yeah, so we're going to that other dangerous place tonight, right? Because clues, it's like Scooby-Doo, but it's like Scooby-Doo, but you're only following Fred and Daphne, but Fred and Daphne are just slightly tweaked to be like Victorian rogues. Stop. This is everything to me, and I don't think that I could pitch this any better than how I just did. Tell me I'm wrong. So I would very much like to know, if you watched and made it to the end of this video with all of the spoilers that were going on, tell me down in the comments how you would pitch the Veronica Speedwell series. Or just the first 2 books, or just a book. Let me know how you would pitch it, because I think that would be very fun to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!